from a familiar subject. Where is the glory? Where is the glory? This message today has to deal with God's people, God's nation. God had promised Abraham that he would have a seed that would bless all the families of the earth. God went in covenant with Abraham and his seed. And in the midst of time, in the process of time, we find that times come along when it's seemingly that people that are blessed forget about God. As we read, we find out that what happens to the seed of Abraham down through the years and through his sons Isaac and Jacob, and how they were taken away into captivity, and how they came back out of captivity and settled the land, and how God brought them up, and how they crossed the Red Sea with Moses, and how they argued and they chided with Moses, and how God allowed circumstances and calamity to come upon them. And then when calamity would come, they would call on the name of the Lord. And God would hear their cry. And God would come and deliver them out of their calamity and out of their trouble. But as soon as things begin to get good again, it seemingly as though they will forget about God. Well, they got to the promised land. And when they got to the promised land, Moses said, send some spies over. And he sent 12 over to spy out the land. And they got over there and they spied out the land. And when they came back, 10 of the spies began to talk about, we can't take the land. It's too big for us. It's giants over there. And they discouraged the people. And the people began to murmur and sin against Moses and God. And God's wrath was kindled against the folks. But Joshua and Caleb came back with a good report. Said, oh, we can take it. God, you gave it to us, we can possess it. He said, we can, it's no big thing for us to do. But because the folk would rather believe the false report instead of the good report, God got angry again and allowed them, just as they were getting ready to cross over into their blessing, sent them back in the wilderness. And they had to wonder another 40 years until God allowed every last one of them that murmured against him to die in the wilderness and not see the promise of God. Church, we're living in a time when you're going to have to believe what you believe. You're going to have to believe that God is real, that he is who he said he is. You're going to have to stand on it, and you got to stop looking at your circumstances, stop looking at folk and what folk are doing, because folk will cause you to lose your promise with God. Folk will cause you to lose your salvation because of circumstances and situations. Anyway. Thank you, Lord. Even when they came 40 years later and Joshua took over as leadership, Moses had a chance to look over, but he couldn't go in. God said, I'll let you look. It's something that you work for all your life. Your heart, your sweat, and your life into, and then get to the point of getting it. Matter of fact, you see it, but can't get it. Die without seeing your vision. Die without seeing the things that God promised you, given to you, but given to somebody else. It's a sad thing to come to church, to fast, and to pray, and to be faithful to the Lord, and miss out on everything in the end. Because you allow people, you allow things, bad habits, words. Remember when we were children, we used to say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. But let me tell you something. Son, you that just have been called the right name. You've been called the right name in a hurt. Some of they just didn't use the right word on you yet. But there's some words out there can tell you what. There's some words out there can hurt you. You got to understand that life and death is in the power of the tongue. You don't have to die literally, but they can say something to you and it will kill you mentally and spiritually. Look at the folk today that are dead from words. What their mama said about it, what their daddy said about it, what their friends said about it, what the school teacher said about it. Words can dissuade. We don't want to do nothing that's right, but we want to complain all the time about everything that's wrong. You got to be careful about complaining about stuff that's wrong, because there's nothing you can do about it. Jesus said you can't add one stature or one cubit to your height by complaining and worrying about stuff that you don't have no control over. We allow mess and junk and stuff to put us to the point where we can't come into the house of God and praise Him for a half an hour or 45 minutes. We're looking at our clocks already. We get back into our mess and into our stuff. God is sick of it. You can't praise God. God said, I'll allow the rocks to cry out. Where is the glory? Where is the glory? People in positions got an attitude because they can't be a leader, because they can't be a boss. You can't lead folk if I do what I say do. You gotta lead folk by example. That's why you see me out here in prayer on Fridays and on Mondays and on Wednesdays. That's why you see me when you see me in the street. I'm praying and laying hands on folk because I gotta be an example. Every time the wind changes, every time your fortune changes. Yes, I know. I know it's sad when a loved one dies, but you gotta look at it the way Jesus looked at it. When it came to Jesus, said, "Your love ain't dead." Jesus said, "Let the dead bury the dead." God don't want no dead stuff. When they dead, they dead. They in the hands of God. You can't do nothing about it. If my daddy kill over and die right now, you know what I'm gonna do? Y'all call Martin brothers. I'll call Reverend Harry. Come get